Hello everyone. Today we will begin chapter 6 from Moments Weathering the Storm in Ersama. Before coming to the chapter, let me first clear to you about the heading Weathering the Storm in Ersama. Now, weathering here it's not about weather or climate. Here it means that to face difficulty. Storm here means cyclone. Now, first of all, I want to clear this term cyclone. Cyclone is a violent rotation of winds over a vast area. And Ersama is a small town in Orissa. Now we call it Odisha. So, from the title only, it is clear that what the chapter is about. It is about the cyclone that had come and how the cyclone had been faced by the people, what difficulties came, and how the things went controlled in bringing back the life in a normal way. So, first, know about the chapter. Weathering the Storm in Ersama is a story about a boy named Prashant and his encounter with a super cyclone. Prashant goes to meet his friend who lives 18 kilometers away from his home. A terrible cyclone floods the area, and Prashant and his friend's family have to stay at the rooftop for 2 days to save their lives. He manages to reach his village with great difficulty and is happy to see his family safe. He becomes the leader of his village and forms a team of volunteers, which helps in getting food for the victims and cleaning the overcrowded shelter. Now let's begin reading plus explanation. On 27th October 1999, 7 years after his mother's death, Prashant had gone to the block headquarters of Ersama, a small town in coastal Orissa, some 18 kilometers from his village, to spend the day with a friend. In the evening, a dark and menacing storm quickly gathered. Winds beat against the houses with a speed and fury that Prashant had never witnessed before. Heavy and incessant rain, incessant means continual, rain filled the darkness. Ancient trees were uprooted and crashed to the earth. Screams rent the air. Screams means cries. Rent the air as people and houses were swiftly washed away. Now, here on 27th October 1999, Prashant goes to meet his friend. It was 7 years after his mother's death. His friend lives in the coastal town of Ersama. It is 18 kilometers from his village. There only a cyclone storm hits Ersama that evening and accompanied by continuous and heavy rains. The result is that it results in flooding of the town. Old trees were uprooted, and everywhere the cries of the people could be heard, and the houses were washed away at high speed by the water. The angry waters swirled into his friend's house neck deep. Means the water had come deep neck into his friend's house. The building was of brick and mortar and was strong enough to survive the devastation of the wind's velocity of 350 km per hour. Now, here, children, mortar means a mixture of sand, cement, and water, and is applied as a paste to set the things hard. Now, it means to say that his friend's house, the Prashant's friend house, was a pakka house, and it was strong enough to survive the destruction of the wind, having the speed of 350 km per hour. The wind was blowing, the strong winds were blowing at the speed of 350 per hour, and the house was strong enough to survive it. But the cold terror of the family grew with the crashing of trees that had got uprooted and fallen on their house, sometime in the middle of the night, damaging its roof and walls. The family of Prashant's friend was frightened more with the clashing of trees which were uprooted and fallen on their house, damaging both roof and walls. The crazed destruction wrought by the cyclone and the surge of the ocean continued for the next 36 hours, although wind speeds had reduced somewhat by the next morning. Now, children, here crazed means widely out of control, and wrought means produced as a result of something. Now, here the 350 km per hour winds accompanying the cyclone lasted for 36 hours, means 1.5 days, and had destroyed much of the things. To escape the waters rising in the house, Prashant and his friend's family had taken refuge on the roof. Refuge means shelter. Prashant will never forget the shock he experienced at his first glimpse of the devastation wrought by the super cyclone in the grey light of the early morning. Now, to escape the water which was coming into the house, Prashant and his friend's family, they had taken shelter on the roof. They all went onto the roof. Now, the next day, at the dawn of the day, when Prashant woke up and saw the devastation that had brought by the super cyclone, he was really very shocked to see. Now, what did he see? A raging, deadly brown sheet of water. Brown sheet of water means muddy water, covered everything as far as the eye could see. Only fractured cement houses still stood in a few places. Fractured means broken. As far as his eye could see, he could only see the muddy water which was covered everything, which was covered everywhere, and the fractured means the broken cement houses. They were still stood at the few of the places. Bloated animal carcasses and human corpses floated in every direction. Now, carcasses means bodies of animals. Corpses means dead bodies of human beings. The dead bodies of animals and human beings were lying in every direction. All round, even huge old trees had fallen. 2 coconut trees had fallen on the roof of their house. This was a blessing in disguise because the tender coconuts from the trees kept the trapped family from starving in the several days that followed. Now, children, why the fallen trees were a blessing in disguise? Because they survived by eating those coconuts which had fallen from the trees. Earlier, they were frightened, but later on, they realized that they were beneficial for them. For the next 2 days, Prashant sat huddled with his friend's family in the open on the rooftop. They froze in the cold and incessant rain. The rainwater washed away Prashant's tears. The only thought that flashed through his mind was whether his family had survived the fury of the super cyclone. Children, huddled means crowd. Incessant means continuous. And fury means anger. Now, Prashant and his friend's family took shelter for 2 days on the roof. Suffered the cold also and the rain also, and the rainwater washed away Prashant's tears. The only thought which was coming to his mind was that whether his family had survived the anger of the cyclone or not. He was very much worrying about his family. Was he to be bereaved once again? Now, children, here bereaved means having lost a relative or close friend who has recently died. As Prashant had already lost his mother 7 years back and therefore did not want to lose anyone else, and therefore he was worrying about them and thought that he would be bereaved once again. 2 days later, which seemed to be Prashant like 2 years, the rain ceased, means stopped, and the rain waters slowly began to recede. Now, recede means to move away and begin to disappear. Means the water came down and mostly disappeared. Prashant was determined to seek out his family without further delay. But the situation was still dangerous. And his friend's family pleaded with Prashant, pleaded means requested Prashant to stay back a little while longer. But Prashant knew he had to go. Now they were still dangerous, though the flow of the water came down, but the situation is not so much clear. So the family wanted him to stay some more time, but Prashant, as he was worrying about his family, he decided that he had to go. He equipped himself with a long sturdy stick. Equipped means provided, and sturdy means strongly built, and then started on his 18-kilometer expedition back to his village. Now, expedition means a long journey through the swollen flood waters. It was a journey he would never forget. He constantly had to use his stick to locate the road to determine where the water was most shallow. Now Prashant kept the hold of his stick continuously in locating the road. As there was water everywhere, it was not easy for him to locate the place. With the help of the stick, he kept on going where he found the water the most shallow. At places